Hi, welcome. My name is Paul. This is my story, and this is episode one, My Awakening. Now, for those of you that don't know me, in 2012, I was sent to an establishment for a crime that I committed. Basically, I'd lived a life of crime all before that, and this was probably one of the worst crimes that I committed, and I got a long sentence. And basically, this story is about the spiritual awakening that I had while I was serving this sentence. So, like I said, in 2012, I'll give you a little rundown. In 2012, me and one of my pals, we were in a bad situation at the time. I was always drinking, sniffing coke, and doing bad things, committing crime. Um, and we kind of, come to an impasse really. And I knew someone up the road that sold coke, so we robbed him. We beat him up a bit, roughed him up. But I ended up getting arrested straight away. And in the end, I was sentenced to 9.5 years in prison. Now, first of all, I went to I went to HMP Huel, and then I went to Onley, and then I ended up in HMP Featherstone, where I was with my co-defendant and a couple of other people that I knew as well from my hometown, who I'll give a little shout out to later when the story unravels really. But I just want to talk to you about some of the goings on that happened to us while we were in Featherstone. Um, Amazing things. I use the word magical all the time because that's kind of what it was, really. It was to me and everybody that was there anyway. But I'm just going to let you know a few things that happened that I found out while I was in there, kind of by accident. I wasn't really looking for these things that I'm going to tell you about, but it was like it just landed in my lap. And I would really like to share it with you because for me it changed my life. It changed a lot of other people's lives as well. And it for me it kind of turned me more positive, and it's made me have an extremely positive outlook on life and situations these days. But yeah, so I'm going to give you the rundown. When I was in Featherstone, like I said, I landed on the wing with my co-defendant, who was a bit of a toe rag as well. He was still doing his bits and bobs on the wing, misbehaving and selling stuff. And so I've come onto the wing, and we kind of got involved in that. After 16 months of being on there with this sort of behaviour going on, we all kind of got dispersed from the wing, and we were all separated. Um, and anyway, when I was on my own for a little bit, because I had obviously the group of people that I was chilling with at the time, we all got dispersed, and there was no one really on the wing that was from my area that I was talking to. So I was kind of left on my own devices to kind of make new bonds almost. So I'm alone at this point, and I started reading. I got a taste for it when I lost my telly one day for misbehaving. I started reading, and it was some really good knowledge. What I was drawn to was more like, mythologies and just like ancient history, megaliths and things like this. But then when I was on the wing one day, one of my pals gave me a book, and he's like, "Yeah, you're reading and that now." He goes, "Give that a go." I asked him what it was, and he told me it was a conspiracy theory book, and I'd never really not really given any thought to it because when I first got into Blakenhurst, I walked into a double pad, and it was a weird like situation. I realised further down the line that when the first prison I went to, there was a conspiracy theory book on my bed that I walked into this pad, and there it was on the bed, and I just chucked it. But then when I thought back after my pal had given me this another book a couple of years down the line, I thought I'd give it a go. So yeah, I read it. It's called "The Truth Shall Set You Free" by David Icke. It gave me a whole new perspective, really, of how the world is run. I'm going to go into it a little bit more in the other kind of chapters of my story, because for now it was just to tell you really that was the first book that kind of put me on this path. I received this book from a good friend of mine, David Lowe, and he explained it to me. He was talking about something about a spiritual awakening. I'm like, what's one of those? And he said, oh, basically, you just realise that everyone's insane. I was like, feel like I've already had one of them, mate. But yeah, pass the book anyway. I read it, and some weird things started happening. Um, I'd read some of the book and then I'd put it down and I'd have a good think about it. You know, it wasn't just about conspiracy theory, but that was the main topic in the book. A lot of it was about energy and who we really are, that, you know, all these secrets have been kept from us. So I kept an open mind. I didn't believe it, I didn't disbelieve it. But the things that were happening, so like I said, I'd read a bit, I'd put it down. And I used to have a good rapport with my next door neighbour. So I'd get down low and I'd be like, oh, we'd start talking about stuff. I'd be like, yeah, I've just read this in this book, blah, blah, blah. And then we get on to another topic of conversation. Anyway, I'd leave the conversation and then I'd go back to my book and the next page would be what we've just discussed. And it used to happen all the time. And I kind of started seeing these weird things. It was like, I don't know. I couldn't really explain it at the time. But it was like we were already discussing what was happening a few pages in. And at first we just thought we were an accident, had a little giggle like, yeah, we're psychic or whatever. But anyway, that was the first book, and I just really wanted to set the scene for you, really, because I didn't want, you know, for those of you that don't know me, you know, you might have thought I was talking about here or somewhere else, but it's important, it's pivotal that you know that I was in prison, because in prison we don't have anything really at all. You know, you have a few bits and bobs. You know, we've got a library. You've got the clothes on your back that usually in this prison at the time, they weren't your own, they were prison clothes. So everyone was like on an even keel, and like you couldn't just pick things up randomly. I've just told you that because it's part of the story that I'm gonna come to now. You know, things were very rare in there. Say if I wanted a CD of some sort, you know, you can't just walk out your door and go to the shop and buy it. You know, you've got to come across these CDs. And they were rare. So, like I said, I've just told you that because of this part that I'm going to tell you about this book that changed my life. I told you about the other book just so you know that was the first one, and it kind of makes sense later on in the story. So, the next book I'd like to tell you about is a book called The Secret. Now, I actually have its sister book here. And that's called The Power. An amazing book by an author called Rhonda Byrne. And trust me, this book has changed many, many lives. A lot of people are now carrying this around as almost their Bible. You know, it means that much to them and it's done so many things and they see it working. So I'm just here to tell you about how this book came into my life and what it did for me. And I would love it to do the same for you. I think once I've told you a couple of stories about what happened with it, you'd be quite intrigued to actually know what it says. So, yeah, this is The Power. So, if I come up close, you can see here The Secret. That was the original book. That was the book that I first read and, well, I listened to it. It was an audio book. So, I listened to this audio book, and basically what it says is that with our mind, we're kind of creating everything around us with our beliefs. So if I believe, say if I'm going to a job interview and I believe that I'm going to get that job, then I most probably will. And it's about that really, just using belief and yeah, just visualizations to like draw things towards you. And you would have used it before, you just don't realize it's, you know, it's one of them things. But I kind of explain it like this: have you ever thought about somebody and then they've rang you? Well, it's kind of that, but it shows you how to use it so you can do it on purpose. You can draw things towards you on purpose. So I was given the audio book and I listened to it, but I think I was kind of already doing what the book was telling me to, but it was the power that really made the difference. So the power, I realised that I could actually ask, or some people call it praying, whatever you want to call it. I asked for something to come. I realised that you could be specific and you can actually ask for things. So I thought of something obscure. I really wanted to test it. I'm like, okay, so if I ask for something, it's just going to make its way on like in front of me, on my toes almost. But basically, yes, that's what the book says. If the steps are taken right and you ask for something, bang, it'll land on your feet. You might fall out the sky, literally. So I thought I'd put it to the test. You know, I was I was semi like suspicious of it. It was, you know, just one of these another self-help books, whatever. So I said, okay, then I want something really obscure. And at the time, I was in the gym. I was a vegan. I wasn't in a position where anywhere I could get chocolate. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask for some chocolate. Okay, specifically a Kit Kat. So I've took all the steps. This was on the Monday. So I've took all the steps, visualised it in my head, visualised who was going to give me the Kit Kat, what it tastes like, unwrapping it, everything from feeling me having it in my hand to saying thank you and being, you know, really showing gratitude to this person that's given it to me. Anyway, I fell asleep, and then days went on, and on Thursday I thought, where's my Kit Kat? Where's my bar of chocolate? Do you know what I mean? This is like, I carried on reading the book anyway, and I was intrigued by it, but yeah, I wanted my Kit Kat. So anyway, on Friday, every Friday, all of the prisoners have like groceries delivered to their wing. So on the Monday, you fill in a canteen sheet, and then it's delivered on Friday, all of the confectionery. So basically, I was being a bit naughty, selling this and that, doing a bit of this, a bit of that, and I've got myself some extra canteen. So yeah, on Friday, I'm running around grabbing canteen. I've gone to this lad's pad, grabbed the bags, put them on my bed, gone out again, come in, there's a chocolate bar on the side. I didn't take any notice of it. I thought that my pal had just left it there. Anyway, gone back out, another bag, come back in, dropped it in, and it's still there. I've walked over and I've looked, and it says double chocolate wafer finger. I've opened it up, and it's a Happy Shopper Kit Kat. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I couldn't believe it. They had actually landed. I'd asked for this. I asked for it on Monday, a Kit Kat. Anyway, my pal's coming in, and I'm like, you don't understand what's just happened. The Kit Kat. He's like, yeah, I put it there. I was like, yeah, but you don't understand, because I didn't tell anyone that I'd asked for it. He's like, yeah, I was walking past my pad, and I thought, oh, I'll go and give it to Tarvs. Hang on a minute, he said. I know you don't eat chocolate. Why have I done that? I'm like, you don't understand. I asked for it. And like, then it was game on then for me. A couple of people on the wing were using it, so I went straight down to him, and this guy, his name was Langham. I can't remember his first name, but he was from Birmingham, and he was using it as well. I'm still irate, like I'm excited about this Kit Kat, so I've gone straight down to him. I've told him, I'm like, but Kit Kat, this and that. Anyway, he's like, Paul, I did the same last night. He said, I was sat there, and I thought, oh, I'll use a secret. Oh no, I want a song on. He asked for a song, and it was Mystique. By Mystique, and it was called Why, an old garage tune. He goes, Tarvs, I had the thought that I wanted it on. He goes, I changed the channel on the telly, and bang, it came on the music channel straight away. Mystique, Why? I'm like, wow. I'm like, we know this works now. We know it works. What are you going to ask for next? He goes, I've already asked for like an Xbox game. I'm like, sound. He goes, what you asked for? I said, an Aaliyah CD. Because remember, we're in jail. We can't get anything that we want. It is just purely by chance that these things are in the jail, okay? And that is it. You know, someone might have gone home and left 3 CDs. Most people had hardly anything in there. So for us to land on, you know... Anyway, so I'm like, yeah, I've asked for an Aaliyah CD. He goes, you ain't getting one of them. He said, I've never seen one. He goes, I've been in jail for years. He was, you know, a lifer, I think he was. Anyway, the next day, we've gone to work. And I'm in the same workshop as Langham, but we're not in the same section, so we don't see each other until we go back to the wing. So anyway, we've done our work, and then I've come to like where we queue, and I've looked left, and Langham is walking towards me, white as a ghost. He's gone tough, shaking his head. He goes, 2 weeks ago, I asked someone to bring me in some R&B CDs. He's gone, not one, but 2 Aaliyah CDs. He couldn't believe it. I was like, what? That was it then. We 100% had faith in it. And everything after that I asked for, it came. It literally came exactly like that. You know, I've got a big, massive list of all the things that I asked for, and every single one of them came, but it's just too many to list. So I'm just going to list a couple more just to drill it in there, just to, you know, this 2 times was not an accident. So my friend James was with me on the wing at the time, and I gave him the power, and it changed his whole perspective. It made him more positive. But then we started asking for things together. So I'm like, what would you like to ask the uni for, James? He's like, I'd like a rug. I'm like, please, can we have a rug? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Imagined it on his floor, done all the exercises that the book tells you to do. Anyway, next day, our friend called Rob comes back on the wing, and he works at recycling. And he's come back, he's got, I've got a present for you, James. And remember, only me and James knew what he'd asked for. Rob went in his pad and he goes, I got you this. And it was a large bath mat. It's a rug. I couldn't believe it. James was just laughing, scratching his head. No one else knew. And yeah, it didn't stop there. You know, once we had 100% faith in it, like I do now, I then began to ask for things for other people. And it didn't become a selfish thing for me, because, you know, there's only so much we can have, and I had everything that I needed, really. I was content at the time, you know, my pad was nice, but other people around me, they hadn't been in for so long, and, you know, they might have had a drug habit or something like that, so I was just asking for things for them, tobacco, whatever they wanted, you know, a good day, and it was all happening. It was just mad. But the best one, I think, in there that's happened, another thing that James asked for was a pair of trainers. I said, what do you need? He says, a pair of size 10. I said, what make? He said, Nike Air Max, size 10. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Took all the steps again, visualised them, putting them on, you know, just taking the steps like it said. Anyway, about 2 days later, me and James are sat in my pad playing poker. And using the power as well with that to get cards on that, and it worked. But anyway, we sat playing poker, and I just had this feeling. I'm like, say thank you, James. Your trainers are on the way. He was like, thank you, thank you. He's got this good way of saying it. It's amazing. He's a great positive guy. If you know him, you'll know what I mean. But all of a sudden, I've looked left, and our friend John Brinley, who lives opposite me, he works at recycling as well. And all of a sudden, you can hear him whistling or something, and I've looked left, and there he is. Come back from recycling with a pair of size 10 Nike Air Max. I was like, so John, what size are they? He's like, a 10. I just looked at James, and we're both like, it was amazing. We've gone in there and like, we've asked for them from the universe. They all thought we were mad. But it was working. It really worked. And that's why I want to tell you, you know, and that's why I'm stood here in front of you today, because it's life-changing. I'm telling you, this isn't just some silly magic trick or accident, okay? We're asking for things, and they're coming, all right? Now, I took it to a different level then. As soon as I knew that it was, you know, that it was real, like I said, I started asking for other people, but then I started asking for non-material things. So I made this thing called a vision board. And basically, I'd heard about it in a film called Bridesmaids. Girls, you might have seen it. I think it's the girl with the blonde hair. She goes through a bit of a rough time, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So, you know, one of her friends advises her to make this thing, and it's a universe board or something, and you put it up there and the universe makes it happen. Well, it's this book. It's, you know, it's that's what it's teaching. That if you visualize it, it's there in front of you. Vision board, you know, visualize, and it works. So, but basically, what I did, I made one, and I started asking for these things. First of all, I put up success, independent, you know, just a few small things. Power, strength for the gym when I was hitting the gym. And but the thing is, I do use it every morning. I'd stand up and I'd say thank you for everything on the board. And you know what? It started happening. I was getting so much stronger. People couldn't realise, like, how have you done that? There was like a couple of lads in the gym. They were like, you're the best, like, what would you call it? The best progression and the best results in a short space of time they've ever seen. And it was, I obviously, you know, I eat well and I do get in good shape, but this was ridiculous. You know, my 8 packs popping. I was so strong. But every day before I went to the gym, I'd stand there, oh, thank you for power. I'm like, but you could feel it. I could feel it inside myself. It's just giving yourself a good talking to. You can tap into any of these things at any time. You know, these inspirational words that I was putting up on there, because that's what it started off as, actually became who I was being. I was becoming this person. I was becoming even more fearless. You know, I weren't scared anyway, but I was being more fearless. I was being more happy, more positive. Everything, all my relationships, balance, everything that I'd asked for on this vision board was coming true. So then I took it to the next level. I started really, really planning for the future then. I knew that whatever I was writing down, it was having an effect. So I was really writing it down. So now you want to see what I've got. You know, I've got stacks of business plans, of business plans for like my future self. I want to be this person because I'm going to be this person because, you know, and I saw it started working. Trust me, it's amazing. I've got so many other stories, but literally I don't want to stand here all day talking to you about it, because there's so much more for me to tell you about. This book is just to give you the basic rundown of what this book does, because throughout then the next 18 months to 2 years of the rest of my sentence, this book was in my hand all the time. But what it was doing, it was drawing other things towards me, other things that I needed for everything that I'd written down on my vision board. Literally, to make me this person that I wanted to be. You know, this book was sending me on some absolute missions. People that were coming onto the wing, you know, were all in tune with what we were doing. And this is the bigger picture that I wanted to tell you about as well, that is that we made a difference in there. We actually made a difference. We changed lives. We made people think non-criminally. Like, after all the years in jail that it was supposed to work, all this money that's pumped into the prisons, and the only thing that they ever needed was this book. And basically this, you know, these episodes are going to be telling you about what happened with the other people around us and all the other books that book led me to. It changed my life, my way of thinking. I never want to hurt another soul again. You know, I was a violent criminal. I was a horrible, vile person after a few drinks, and horrible person. But you know what? Deep down, we've all got good inside us, and that brought it out of me, as well as everything else. And that's why I'm here to stand in front of you and to tell you today, to sincerely as well. You know, some of the things that you might hear about me or hear me say, people think I'm, you know, might be weird or a bit crazy, but it's, you know, it's not. It's just a different way of thinking that you might not have heard before. It sounds crazy because you're so used to just plodding on with life, doing your 9 till 5. People not reading books on YouTube and Facebook, and they don't have the time to just take time for themselves. And this is what I'm going to tell you throughout these episodes. What happens when you leave it all behind and you just sit with yourself and this ancient secret knowledge. Okay, that's my story on the law of attraction, or we'll call it the secret, because it is a secret. It's been kept from us. You know, if everyone was to know this book and the story across the globe, there would be no poverty, there would be no nothing. Everyone would come together and help each other and use this as well, because there is enough abundance in the world for everybody. Don't have to think that these families at the top of the food chain, you know, the Queen and people like that, they know all of this, and that's how they've got all of your money. Unfortunately, they've used it to scam you. So while, you know, they're all sat in Buckingham Palace with riches all over their head from this, people are scratching around and, you know, signing on. It's a bit of a double standard, but I'm here to tell you, to show you today what it is. Okay, it worked for me. Sometimes you might sound a bit crazy to you know your friends if it's something that you've just picked up. Some of you know already. But I implore you to buy any of these books, any of the Rhonda Byrne range. It will change your life if you read it and put it into practice. Ask for something and it will come. I promise you. My name's Paul. Thanks for listening. Until next time.